Don't you miss it. Feeling lethargic? Feeling lazy? Feeling tired?
Welcome to Enrichment of Mind, Body, and Soul. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Excellent.
Looks like my timing was perfect.
Perfect timing, Will. Welcome to the studio.
Thank
and
you very
welcome to
much.
Enrichment of Mind, Body, and
Will.
Soul.
Hi.
And
I'm looking
Tess?
forward to this. This is going to be a fun show. I mean,
It is.
But it's going to be okay. I'll find my balance here in a few seconds.
You always do.
Yeah.
Tess, how are you doing, girl? It's good to have you in the house.
I am so great. Thank you for asking. I'm doing well.
Great. And to the audience, how are you guys doing? Hope you're doing well. Hope you continue to do your journaling. And thank you guys for joining us today. Because you know what? We're talking about energy. And everything is energy. We came here to create, not to be stagnated. We want the energy to be flowing. That is why we're here, and what a better time of the year. We're almost walking out from March, going into April to the 4th month of the year. What are you creating? How are you feeling? Are you feeling stagnant? Many times we're asking ourselves, that we're now moving forward, but you got to pivot, you got to pause, and you got to look at your energy. What are you focusing on? What are you putting your energies into that is not serving you? Who are the people you have around you? Because the people that you have around you is the energy that you have around you, So we all have to look at ourselves and see exactly the direction where we're heading and understand ourselves more in depth. And to understand yourself, you got to go within. It all starts within. You got to go within to see exactly what's happening with you. And the topic tonight is energy, the square within a circle. And we create versus stagnate. And we have Will Williams in the house, no stranger to this space. And we have Tess. They both is gonna give us some tools that we can work to help ourselves as we move forward on this journey called life. And when we think about a square, think about a square and then think about a circle. Sit with that. Think about a square and then think about a circle. The circle is a constant flow of energy. The square, it symbolizes something that is stable, but stable with the constant flow of the energy. And what are you creating? As I said before, what are you focusing on and what are you creating in your life at this point in time? Because as one of the components that we know, myself and Lady J coach out of is creativity. And to find the creativity, you got to go within to find that creativity. See the things that you're good at. Sometimes people may say to us, we don't really know. Ask your mother or your father, if they're alive, or one of your family members, what you were being drawn to when you were a small child. Because we all are drawn to something. That's our purpose here. We are drawn to something. So once you can find that spot, or you can find that thing, there is where you zoom in. And then you will start to see the creativity start to come out. So this evening, just sit with us. We got a beautiful show this evening for you. You're going to be well fed. You are at the right place at the right time, and you take what you want, you leave what you don't want. It, as our friend Dr. Terrence would say, it's a buffet style. You come in here, but you're going to take what you want, you leave what you don't want. But I can guarantee you're going to get the tools that you need tonight. And if you know of a friend who can benefit from this podcast this evening, just share us out. Share us out that they could be a part of this experience, because it's a dynamic experience. Once you enter enrichment of mind, body, and soul, it's a dynamic experience. You'll always walk away with something that you can put in your toolkit or your toolbox that could benefit you in some way or the other. Each week we bring on guests here that can uplift you, inspire you, enrich you. And don't forget to subscribe to Soul, Light, and Body, that you will never miss none of these episodes. Also, we have 2 books on Amazon, Your Gut in You and Self-Care is Intentional. And don't forget to pick up your copies, because it's going to help you to understand about your gut, and it's going to help you to understand about self-care, which is super important. So grab yourself a copy, or if you know a friend, you can give it to them. So I'm not going to take up much more time, because we got a lot of stuff to unpack this evening, and we don't want to be stagnated. We want to get this energy flowing. We need this flow of this energy this evening. So I'm Lady K, Holistic Health and Wellness Coach, and the co-author of the 2 books, Your Gut in You and Self-Care is Intentional, with my sister Lady J and my daughter Tremaine. And also in the show notes, there is so much good stuff in the show notes. Check it out. You're going to get some real good stuff from Will, from Tess, and from myself, and from Joan, and from 246 Radiant Vibes Radio. They got a beautiful classified ads. Just check it out. And don't forget, you are worthy. You are enough. You are worthy and you are enough. So just sit back, grab a notepad, grab a pen, and prepare to take some notes. Lady J, take the mic.
Great opening as always.
Thank you.
Yes, we are in the month of March.
Will is going to tell you the same thing as well.
We're moving forward. It's great to see both of you here tonight, Will and Tess. And we have a great show for you tonight. But I want to start off with, what is in the way, that's standing in the way for you not making that your next? What is it? What is it? Is it fear? Is it rejection? What is it that is standing in your way? What is it that's blocking you from moving to your next, to make that next step, to make that bold step? What is that that's standing in your way? Sit with that tonight. Where are you with your goals and your aspiration and everything you stepped into 2025 and with such a joy and motivation? Where are you with that right now? And are you showing yourself grace, love, and compassion? Sit with that tonight. Are you celebrating your wins? Your goals and your aspiration and everything you stepped into 2025 and with such a joy and motivation. Where are you with that right now? Are we clear?
Yes.
Okay. No, that's okay. We're live, so that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Celebrate your wins, big or small. You work to get there through tears, through frustration, through setbacks, but you finally got there. You got the win. Pause into that moment, celebrate it. Then you could step forward. Show yourself grace and compassion. You deserve it. Don't be hard on yourself. Of course, there's some days things are not going to go right, but it's fine. Because sometimes we have to watch ourselves, our inner dialogue. What is your inner dialogue? How do you talk to yourself on a daily basis? Are you reminding yourself that you are special and you're unique and that you are one of a kind and that you deserve the best? Yes, you do. You deserve the best. That's why it's so important when we can give ourselves, remind ourselves on that inner dialogue to support ourselves with the right kind of people who is going to lift us up, who is going to embrace us and remind us, yes, you have that within. We're supporting you and helping you to move forward. Where is your level of gratitude? Because it's so important. Gratitude is such an important tool for ourselves and for others. Because the more we give gratitude, the more good is going to come into our lives. How are we navigating the clutter within and outer? How is our outer environment? Does every room represent what it is? Our kitchen, our living room, our bedroom, wherever. Does that room represent what it is? It is clear that you can have the level of organizational structure within there, that you can function and you can feel the room for what it is. Are you walking in your power? How do you show up? When you show up for a conversation, when you show up in a room, are you stepping in your power? Did you come with all of that? But to come with all of that is so important. That's why we talk about nourish and nurture. Because yes, we have to eat the right kind of food so as we can nourish ourselves. But how are we focusing on the other areas of our lives? Creativity, our joy, our physical activity, our spirituality. What are we leaning on when there are moments that we're down? What is our source? What a God, whatever that may be. Are we leaning into that and have the sense of security and assurance? What are your I am today? What are your I am? Are you reminding yourself, I'm capable, I'm special, I can do this, I can win? Yes, I may go through some setbacks, I may go through some challenges, but I have what it takes in me to propel and to move forward. Sit with that tonight. We got a great show for you. We got amazing guests tonight that is going to expand our toolbox and give us great takeaways so we can move forward in life. My name is Lady J, Holistic Health and Wellness Coach, among many things. And so, Tess and Will, welcome to the space tonight. We know we're in for a treat. We know that you guys have so much of goods to give us tonight. Tremendous value that is going to help us to motivate us, uplift us, so that we can move forward, knowing that we can know what energy is, what it feels like, how we can identify it when it's not good, and how we can shift spaces. So welcome.
Thank you.
Tess,
you.
we're going to ask you to introduce yourself because you're new to the space tonight. With the kindness of Jamie introducing us to you, and we're so grateful that you took the time to be here tonight with us.
Sure.
Welcome.
Thanks, everyone. I am here in Houston, Texas, and I'm so excited to be here. I have an older son, my husband, my dog that's in the other room, probably angry that he can't come hang out with me tonight. And I'm passionate about people and connecting people, and the fact that circles are my jam, because we all understand ourselves through the circles we have around us, whether they are your inner circle, your work circle, your neighbor circle, or whatever. That's how we live. And just the idea that, like, when you have the drop of water, it doesn't go out in circles. I mean, it doesn't go out in squares, it's circles, right? It's the concentric circles that ripples out. That's the connection we have. And I do workshops on this. My intellectual property is Draw Your Circle. And it's all about communication and making sure that people are heard and connected with each other. And I do want to add, if you don't mind, I love the intro. And we create versus stagnate. And I think what people really get caught up sometimes is the idea of creation. They think, oh, well, I need to be an artist, or I need to be something visual like that. People realize, y'all, if you are a good cook, or even if you've never baked before and you say, I'm going to try to bake a cake, that is creation.
Of course.
If you are saying, I want to plant this plant today and I'm going to see if I can grow me some tomatoes, that is creation. Creation could be, I finally figured out how to do a spreadsheet. That's creation right there. Creation could be anything. It is you. It doesn't have to be a visual thing. It could be, I just decided that I'm going to, I don't know, create a new filing system in my file cabinet. That is creation, y'all. Mm-hmm. And that is magic. It is your magic. It could be anything.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well said.
Yes.
Well,
let me first say hi to Tess. Nice to meet you. And of course, you ladies, Joan and Joan. See, Karen got me off balance too today, Joe. Oh boy,
Lady J, Lady K.
I noticed the first time, Lady J, tonight when after Karen got through and she introduced you, you kind of froze for about 30 seconds. You didn't know where to go. So now you know how I feel when I go after you. See. She laid one on you tonight, so you kind of stuck there for a second. You're like, wait a minute, what happened? Where'd that come from? I saw you. But I'm glad to be a part of this show tonight. Lady J mentioned something about doing a show like this, and I told her, and actually we were doing another show when we were talking about it on air. And I told her that I would be happy to. So tonight I'm going to wear my priest hat, okay? Like you, Tess, I wear a lot of hats, and like Lady J and Karen, I wear a lot of hats and into a lot of things. So I'm a spiritual priest, though. So before we go off into this, I'm not a religious priest. But what I'm going to do, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Will Williams. And tonight, I'm a spiritual priest, so I'm going to talk to you from the perspective of, since our topic is energy, I'm going to lay down the groundwork and talk about energy in specific. But I'm also going to lay the groundwork to let you understand that this is not woo. You hear people sometimes talk about, when you talk about energy, they're like, oh, that's that woo stuff. Oh, I don't know anything about that. You just need to follow God. Well, it's funny that they say that, because what they don't understand is that they don't understand what God actually is, because they've just listened to people tell them what God is. They haven't done any research or actually studied themselves to understand what all this is, right? If you, for instance, go into the Bible itself, I'm going to build a foundation for this. If you go into the Bible, one of the things that you'll find, and let's say Philippians 2:13 through 33, you'll find them specifically talking about energy. Okay, now, since a lot of religious people like to say spiritual people are not, they heathens or so forth, or non-believers, we are in an age now, we've stepped into a new era, right? And so God has always existed to be more than what you think he is in the Bible. It always has been that way. But you've been sort of trapped and you put yourself into this trap. Those of you who don't understand what I'm saying here, you kind of put yourself into this trap and you've remained there since day one, okay? But God is everywhere, everything, anything. It's not a figure. It never has been a figure. It's always been energy. And so, like I just said, if you go to Philippians 2:13 through 33, you'll see that the Bible itself tells you. I'm not telling you. The Bible itself, if you're religious, tells you. And the Bible basically, all the other religious books, they all basically are the same books. They just have different names and different aspects of the stories, okay? But all this stuff is all the same. There's no real difference in this. I mean, you have different figureheads as the main subject matter in these stories, but it's all basically the same story, okay? So that's why people don't understand why the confusion goes on and why my religion is better than your religion and my God is better than your God, and all the silly stuff that goes on around spiritual talk and religious talk, okay? So all this stuff is basically the same. But the reason I wanted to go into the Bible to build what we're talking about here about the energy is because you have people who are watching this show, and this is a live show, live broadcast. Like, and as you saw doing a live broadcast, there's pressure when you do something live like this. As you saw, we had a little technical difficulty there a little bit, and you didn't see, the set fall apart like, oh, what are we going to do? Joan just kind of shut down and gave Karen a second to figure out what was going on, and she figured it out and put it back together. That happens in a live show. And that's why a lot of people don't do live shows, because of the pressure that comes along with doing a live show. What if I mess up? What if I don't say something right? That's okay. You're a person.
Absolutely.
We're in an era of authenticity. And if you can't be authentic now, your act is not going to carry you very far. Okay? The Hollywood stuff is kind of run its course. And now what's going to have to happen is you're going to have to actually be who you're supposed to really be. And so that's what people are going to start flocking to, is they want to see people who are basically like them, willing to show that they can make a mistake and it's okay. And that's all sin ever has been, okay? As a mistake. If you look it up in the Hebrew dictionary, you'll find out that sin is not some broad spectrum of 100 different, rules and laws, and you're going to go to hell if you. Sin is just a mistake. That's all it ever has been, okay? Like I said in the beginning, this is authentic, okay? So when I'm talking to you tonight, we're going to come right to you. We're not going to dance around it and kind of play some patty cake with you or something of that nature. You're going to get the truth. And, I know sometimes when you put that kind of energy out toward people, they will turn and run from it, which is another reason a lot of people don't like to do interviews like this, because they're not, they first of all want to ask the host, well, what are you going to ask? I don't want to talk about that. Can I talk about this? Okay, that's why a lot of people can't do shows like this. I mean, you have podcasts that's all over the airwaves. You have some that's, raking in a lot of followers and views and that kind of thing. But you don't have authentic guests coming on those shows because it's all scripted. Now, me coming out of television, I can tell you, I hosted my own TV show for 5 years, and I did, pre-game shows for basketball games and that kind of stuff. Talked to college coaches before games. They had a weekly show that would take you inside what they were planning on doing before these games, right? But the one thing that I've always told my guests is, when you come onto a show, I'm going to ask you questions that you can answer. So I'm going to let you be you. I'm not going to surprise you with anything that shouldn't be, out of the ordinary for you to answer. But at the same time, in order for the audience to really get what you're trying to present, they need to know you. And so that's why this show is so unique and special. So everybody that's tuning in tonight, as the ladies all have said, this is going to be a unique show, because we're talking about something that a lot of people, like I said at the beginning, said, oh, well, we're talking about that woo stuff, energy. What is energy? But you hear the term is being thrown all over the place right now. Everybody's using the term energy this, energy that. Now, as an owner of sports teams, as Tess mentioned about the circle, all of my teams exercise from the circle. I require, no matter even through my coaches, I tell my head coaches all the time that the team will always warm up in a circle, and then we put 4 people in the middle of that circle, which makes a square. Okay. Now they've never asked me why I require that. They just do it. But as you ladies, all 3 of you have mentioned, because of the energy that it carries, that energy is, and everybody's facing each other in a circle. Okay, once they make that circle, they're facing each other. And in sports, you thrive off of what we call, the topic is energy. And so what I'm trying to do is get all of that energy from each individual to come into that circle and become one big ball of flow energy, where it comes back to them off of those 4 people that's in the middle. Those 4 people that's in the middle lead each exercise that the team is going to do, right? So they're sending energy out into the circle, and then the circle brings it back into them as they count through the repetitions of each exercise. Now, these guys don't, because they're not thinking like that. They're thinking in simple terms. They don't get it. But I have had a few come to me and ask me, why do they feel a certain type of way when they're in that circle? And then I'll pull them aside and explain to them what's going on. But everything that happens is based around energy. The universe itself, or God, if you want to call it that, is of energy. And so everything that you think, do, all of that stuff comes from, and you yourself are nothing more than an energy. That's it. You don't actually really die when we boohoo and hate to see people go, and it's really sad, but that's the way we've kind of gotten into a ritual of doing instead of celebrating people. But this body is going to leave one day, right? Now, when it leaves, you don't actually leave. If you want to speak and say in terms of your soul, that's how you want to speak it, then that's the energy. So you're inside of a vessel. This body is nothing but a vessel, but you are a pure energy. And if you go all the way back, and there are books way before the Bible was ever even thought about being written, that they talk about this kind of stuff. The civilizations before us weren't some cave dwelling dummies that were just trying to keep warm with a few sticks in a cave somewhere. These people were further advanced than where we are today. You can look at the pyramid and tell that we can't even build a pyramid like that out of rocks. I mean, we can build it out of glass and metal, but we can't go back and actually duplicate what they did. So these people were way ahead of us. Now, a lot of this stuff has been buried because over time, the earth turns itself over. So a lot of this stuff is underneath us at this point. But those civilizations that came before us were a lot smarter than what we've ever given them credit for. And people today, we have more people that are geniuses than what people consider genius to be. Okay, that's the thing that we've narrowed that down to where we talk about, certain people are geniuses, but everybody has a genius. Tess alluded to this a few minutes ago. Everybody has some level of genius about what they do and how they do things, because you can learn something from everybody. And so this subject is really going to be really good as we get into it. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the 4 different types of energies, and I'm even going to go into some metaphysical stuff, because that's also an aspect of when you talk about energy that people say, well, what does metaphysical mean? Like, I've had somebody contact me and they wanted to know how to astro project, right? And so I asked them, why did they want to do that? And they gave me a specific reason, that they were kind of going through their spiritual journey and they were experiencing different things, and they had an astro project, and they were like, well, does it just happen, or how do I make it happen, or what do I need to do? So we had a couple of conversations around that. So I won't go into that tonight, but I may touch on it a little bit. But I'm going to cover a lot of stuff as we talk about this. And so I'm going to now, I guess, toss back to Karen, and I guess we get deeper into the show. Can you hear me, Karen?
She's muted.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
There you go.
Both of you, Tess and Will, you guys really touch on some important points. And I hope the audience is taking some notes, because as Will said, a lot of times when we start to talk about energy, people say, what kind of woo-woo stuff you're speaking about, you know? But we are energy. We are energy. And energy is supposed to be a constant flow. It's supposed to be a constant flow, not be stagnated. That is why when it is stagnated, you kind of feel depressed because remember, things are not moving, you know. And because of that, you are there. The energy is just there. Look at the river, look at the ocean, look at the streams. They're moving. It's movement happening. But when you're there, you're not moving in any direction. You're just there. So much things start to happen to you because you're suppressing that energy. And once you start to suppress that energy, a lot of things start to happen within the body. The body start to break down in different ways. Because remember, like things like unforgiveness, you know, you're holding on to that energy. And it end up creating and being something else totally different. So once we understand the concept of energy, we're going to really understand what is really happening within our lives. Because we're supposed to be a constant flow. It's a constant flow. Not to be sitting there and suppressing and not allowing this energy to flow. And as I said before, once this energy starts flowing, the creativity comes into play. Because you are allowing things to happen within your life. And it brings me to another point, you know. How are we showing up? When we go into a space, how are we showing up with our energy in that space? You know, many times when we are showing up in a space, we are dreading that space. For instance, like showing up into your workspace. Your energy, you're showing up into that workspace with your energy, right? And when you show up there, you're not showing up fully. You're just showing up there because, okay, fine, you're going for the paycheck, you're going for the salary or whatever it is, you know. But you're not showing up and being present in that space. So many times that is why we have to go within our lives and see how things are really happening within our lives and pivot. Look at all the areas in our lives and see where need to be strengthened and what things we need to release that type of energy so we can have the flow happening. But a lot of times we are so scared to go to those places within our lives. That is why if you're scared to do that, you got to grab yourself a coach or a therapist so you can able to zoom in on those areas of your life and see where things are not flowing. See where things are not flowing, and you can start to address it so you can have the flow it's happening in your life. And many times we're putting up resistance. There is a lot of resistance that we put up. And because we're putting up resistance, you can't have the flow. Many times we're not surrendering to things, you know. We are just putting up this heavy resistance. Also, we are carrying around a load on our backs every single day. We're not releasing. We are carrying around loads every single day on our backs. Like myself or Lady J would say, it's a heavy suitcase you're fetching. You got to unpack. Those energies, you got to unpack those energies. Because if you don't unpack those energies, you're going to be stagnant. Many times we sleep, we get up, we pick up back that suitcase and keep traveling with it. We lie down and sleep in the night. When we get up in the morning, we pick it up back again and we're moving through with it. but the energies that you're moving with is not good for you. That is why you get depressed. You don't feel worried about yourself. It's time that we check in with our energy and see exactly where we're heading. If you got to eliminate things, you got to eliminate friendships out from your life. You're doing it for you. You're living for you. It's your choice. You got a choice. Because many times we're holding on to things that doesn't even serve us well. Lady J?
Well said, well said, well said. And the thing is, that's why self-awareness is so important.
Absolutely.
Self-awareness is so important because as we have the level of self-awareness, we embody that, we lean into our inner wisdom, we move in a space of alignment, we practice healing because healing is very essential to us as well. And when we have all of that, our healing is if you got to do inner work, whatever it is that you got to do, so that you can walk fully, you can show up fully. As when you said how you show up in spaces, when we show up, we want to show up with our all, everything. And our energy got to be on point so that you're vibing high, your frequency as well, so you can actually raise that environment that you're in because you're coming strong, you're coming with all that level of power, and you have already eliminated all that clutter that you're carrying with you that it's just not serving you well. So as you raise that vibration, your energy is strong, your energy is good. People want to be around you. It's a joy for people to be around you because you're vibing on a great level. The energy is good. People energy can be felt. It's transferable. So when you're in a space and you got that great energy, you one would say, I feel good. You come off a conversation with someone, you feel good because you're not dealing with any kind of dense energy. Tess, speak to us on that.
Y'all, I could have written a book in this amount of time. I mean, no, I don't wait. That came out wrong. I mean, the information that's been thrown around right here has been so good that I've been taking notes because and what I mean is there's so many directions I can go right now. I'm so excited. I'm gonna go back with what Lady K said because I love visuals. You were talking about the heavy bag, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's actually a one of my speeches, and it's called "Are There Rocks in My Bag?"
True.
So
Right.
you're walking around, right? And or say like, you're going hiking, you got like a day pack, right? And you're just like, y'all, why is my bag so heavy? It is so heavy. And you get to the end, you think, what in the world is going on?
Mm-hmm.
I'm having such a time here. And so every time you don't have that conversation that you meant to have, you get another rock in your bag.
Yeah.
And they get a rock in their bag too, because you never talk to them.
Right.
Every time you don't say something you mean to say, every time you're upset and you don't address it, every person that you have left out there dangling gets another rock in your bag. But the thing is, they've got rocks in their bags too, because they're not sure when you're going to actually talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're walking around with their own version of the same bag thinking, well, I don't know. Are we ever going to have this conversation? And then, usually when you have the conversation, it's not as bad as you had in your head.
True.
Especially in your workplace, though. If you think about, oh, you know what? I did not finish that thing that I said I was going to do. And you just avoid that person walking down the hallway. You're like, let's see, Well, guess what? You just add another rock to your bag, and they already have the rock because they're waiting on you to answer that email.
Right.
And so we're talking about being weighed down, and so that energy does not flow. And then when the communication is stopped, it is just, you talk about stagnating. And thinking about communication, I love to talk about different communication styles because some people, y'all, they if you open that email and it has like 1,000-word email, some people will just be like, oh no. Some people want lots of information. Some people want bullet points. Some people just send me a quick text message. Some people want voicemails. But the exchange of communication, if you can get that figured out, what people want, you can start having this flow of communication and energy, because every time we I don't know. Again, that's another bag, another rock, another rock that's put in your bag. And just asking somebody like, hey, Lady K, hey, Lady J, hey, Will, do y'all like phone calls? Or are y'all an email kind of person? Are you a text message kind of person? And then I know right away, so we can just text or pick up the phone, and then that's it, and then it's done, and then you never have to have that answer before, and that opens up so much space to just having this open communication. And you talk about stagnated energy. When there is not open communication with people in your life, whoo. Cut that wire, it's because that circuit is not connected right there at all.
True.
True.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you, Tess.
I'm gonna follow that up and lay another stone in my foundation here.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. And James 2:26, the Holy Spirit is an energy within you. That says that in your Bible. Okay. And what I'm doing here again is I'm laying out a foundation in support of what energy is, because you speak it all the time, but you say in this woo-woo, or those people that's talking about energy, they're not believers in God. Really? Well, in your Bible, James 2:26, the Holy Spirit is a energy within you. Now, what are you gonna do with that? I thought so. Okay. So here's the thing. Energy is, like I said, is everywhere and it's nowhere. So anytime that you do anything, and I mentioned this in the last show we were talking about, people can feel the energy come from you because everybody has a vibration to them, okay, a frequency.
Exactly.
And so your skin has a certain level of energy that comes off of it, and then you yourself, the heart vibrates at a certain megahertz of energy. And so you have energy flowing through you all the time through this body that you carry. And people can feel that, people that are open enough to be sensitive to it. Now, if you have a closed off mindset, you can't, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But the people who understand this stuff, that's who uses this stuff, okay? And so a lot of times you talking about, well, God has blessed me. It's the people who understand this stuff use it in their daily lives, whether it's through their meditation, which some people call prayer. So they're feeding off of this energy constantly. And so when they say that God, is only blessing me, it's really not that. It's just that you are not open and receptive to receiving the flow of the energy that's everywhere.
Absolutely.
That's everywhere. And certain people will be on the same energy frequency with you, and they'll know you like you know you. They can feel everything that what you're about. They understand you.
And Will, that's the Hawkins numbers. Are you familiar with all that? I mean, it's 100% right there. And and this is for people that are aware. There are quantitative, like scientific numbers that were linked to emotions. And you just say, like, man, if you're in this fear place, literally your vibration is lower. The number is lower. If you are in the anger place, your number is lower. And once you start getting to the state of, let's call it possibility and hope, you start to change, and that switch goes off. So you can be in that joy, you can be in that creation. Right. And that is where, and it doesn't mean you can't be angry every once in a while. It doesn't mean that those negative emotions go away. It just means that your state of existence is in that higher vibration, and that's where you remain.
Like that. Love that.
Absolutely. That's
very
good.
Beautiful.
Very good. State of existence.
So beautiful, Tess. So beautiful. So beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, look, this stuff is not that difficult to follow. It's just you have to put enough. You have to put action into it. You can't just. It's almost like you in the religious context. You say, well, I believe in God, and that's all I need. He watches over me, right? Okay, that's not enough. That's not going to get you very much. You're not going to have the same level of protection as somebody who, like Tess just mentioned, that are vibrating at a high level, and somebody that's at a lower level. And so, I've mentioned this on a few shows a few times, that I feel like, and I tell people this all the time, and I say this every time we do a show or somebody interviews me, I feel like I'm the luckiest person on earth, because all the things I've had a chance to do, see, and be involved in that other people didn't think that I would be able to do. And so when I do something, I go into the belief with it that it's going to work. Okay.
Yes.
In the beginning, in my early stages of, and I see a lot of posts on LinkedIn about business and so forth, about people just getting started and that kind of thing. A lot of times, once you have a vision of what you want to do, and then you put yourself on that pathway,
Right.
and just keep walking forward, all of these things will start to fall into place for you. Because again, as Tess mentioned, if you're vibrating high, you're going to attract people to you that can get you through the door of where you're trying to go. They'll already be there. And so while you don't have all the exact steps to how you're going to make this happen, if you just start in that direction and keep your energy level where you believe it, those people will start to cross your path. And then all you have to do then is tell them what you're trying to do, and they'll get you through where you're trying to go. So,
and the advanced move on that is you put yourself in the vibration that it has already happened.
Right.
Absolutely.
You're in the future, and you look back and you're like, oh, this was easy. Well, and you'll say, like, how did I get here? Let's put some things in place.
Right.
You live into that moment of you've already gotten the fill in the blank thing, or you have already achieved that fill in the blank thing. And you put yourself in that feeling and that vibration, and those are the people that call in and find you and connect with you.
This is so beautiful. This is so beautiful. So beautiful. And but I think to reach or to arrive at, we never arrive because we constant growing, but to get to that level, you have to have the level of right mindset.
Right.
You have to have the growth mindset that you're willing to explore all the possibilities. You're willing to receive new information. You're willing to allow new things to come in so you can look at things from a different lens, and not having a fixed mindset. Look, this is always the way it's going to be. This is what I do. And so you close yourself off and you limit yourself from exploring and enjoying the level of beauty that the universe, God, life has for us. Right?
Absolutely.
You're absolutely right, Lady J. You're absolutely right. Every day we are exploring. Every day we are exploring, and it's a beautiful thing when we can explore, because it gives the energy to flow. Sometimes you may run into people that would not resonate with your energy. It's okay. Quite okay. It's quite okay. They're part of the journey. Anytime you cross path with someone, you cross path with that energy, it may not resonate with you, as I said, but you're going to learn something from that situation, because we all are learning every single day. Life is about learning.
That's right.
It is about learning. Some people are going to come into your life for a period of time, sometimes just hours, just minutes, just one day, just 1 week, for a year, 2 years. It all depends on what the soul wants to experience at that point in time. And it's okay when people leave, when the energy leave, it's quite okay.
It's fine. No, I was going to just jump in and say, but let it leave with love, because sometimes there are necessary endings, and regardless, whatever is it, let it be, but let it be with love, regardless how bad or however it is, because you want to maintain your vibration. You want to maintain that level of energy because you want to vibe on a high level, and you don't want it to kind of bring you down with any kind of negativity or such as that. So I just want to say that.
And the fact that we all matter, and and sometimes I think people get stuck in the I'm not important, I'm not matter. And it's just
right.
Lady K, Lady J, Will, Tess, we all matter. And anyone listening right now, you matter.
Yes.
And I don't know who needs to hear this, but you matter. And
Yes, you
you
do.
are important. And that is what we're all here about, is that we all do matter, and you deserve the happiness that is coming to you.
Absolutely.
Right. You got to believe that, though. You know,
True.
a lot of times people second guess themselves, but remember, at the subconscious is always a doubting Thomas. So it's always going to say, we can't, I don't want to, we can't do that. Why are you trying to do this? It's going to always try to pull you away from where you want to go. Okay. So where the conscious mind wants to think, hey, let's give this a shot. So you have to be strong enough to have a belief that you can actually make it happen. And then when you take in the energy of that, everything else kind of takes care of itself, you know, because you'll feel that in your heart, and you know you'll feel it. It's a feeling that is supposed to be there because it's part of what energy actually is, but you'll be able to feel it. And once you give that feeling, carry that with you every single day and every place you go. Even when somebody else is around you negative, allow them to be who they are without judgment, because they're
Right.
not on the same path that you are. So allow them to be
True.
who they
True.
are and
True.
help
So
them.
true.
If you can offer some assistance, offer it to them, and then you move on. You know.
True.
So you know, since I bring that up, I pulled up to a red light today, right? And so a guy's standing on the corner, and you know he's panhandling, of course. He's trying to get some money, and he looks directly. I'm a lane over from where he is, so he has to cross traffic to get to me. But he's looking directly at me, and he's yelling, "Hey, could you please help me?" He said it 3 times, right? And so everybody else at the cars that were sitting right there next to him, none of those people were letting down their window and offer him any money. And so I made eye contact with him. I let the window down. I made eye contact with him where I could actually hear what he was saying, right? And so as I do so, we lock eyes, and I can feel his spirit at that point. And so I take out some money while he's still yelling it out because he don't know I'm doing this. I take some money out of my pocket and I stick it out the window, and I motion for him to come because the light is going to change in a few seconds, right? So he runs between cars. He gets over there where I am, and I give him the money. As soon as I gave him that money, the cars that were right next to where he was, the windows started going down. Those people just needed one person to show that they believed in him enough that I was willing to do that. So it encouraged the other people to say, well, you know what? Let me give him some money too. So they, windows started going down. And luckily, about 4 cars, he was able to get some money from about 4 cars, and then a light change, and we all pulled off, right? But that was just a brief 30-second interval there where if I hadn't have turned my head to look at him, I would have, you know, I wouldn't have gave him any attention. I would just say, okay, well, it's a guy on the corner trying to get some money, you know, so what? But when I turned my head and I looked at him, again, everybody that you run into is you in some form or another, right? So I could that he was basically me. And so I felt that. I'm like, okay, that's me. And he's just a reflection. And so at that point, that's when I, you know, made the decision I was going to give him some money. And so, this energy thing is not tricky, but you have to learn how to use it in a manner that's going to benefit you and society itself, the people around you. You know, a lot of people use it for negative experiences and so forth, but there's so much good that can happen when you help somebody else, or even while you're doing it for yourself, that it becomes contagious. So people around you, which is what I just said about what at the red light there, they can feel that, and so they'll share that and do something with it as well. So I would, you know, suggest to people that on your journey, we all cross this path at some point in time. You're going to come to a realization that you're being affected by something. Now, whether or not you understand it, and that's the other thing, ladies, that we haven't got into yet, but I'm sure we're going to. Is sometimes they'll get a feeling, but then they'll say, well, no, that's you know, I don't know why I'm feeling like that. Let me move around. I don't want, you know, because it scares people. And so when people usually get afraid or be in a state of mind where fear comes over them like an anxiety, they run from that. So they don't want anything to do with it. So they're like, well, I don't know why I'm feeling this way, but I don't want that. Not me. I'd rather stay in my little cocoon and feel safe over here. Why are you trying to take me to, you know, do other things. But that's where you're going to get your growth from. And so energy is always pushing you to be more than what you think you're capable of being and doing more than what you think you can do.
100%. And it's to really get a practical application of what you're talking about, Will, is y'all, when you walk into a room and you have no idea what just happened and you think, what in the world just happened in this room? It literally feels like, and I'm losing my voice over it apparently. It's like just like the air has left the room or whatever. And it's just sitting there and it's heavy and you think, oh my God. Man, again, I don't know what just happened. I don't know if any of y'all had an experience when you'd be over at your friend's house growing up and they'd be in an argument with their sisters or brothers or family and you just went, whoa, what just happened in here? I just came in the room or whatever at a meeting. And you think, I think I'm going to just go walk out of here or whatever. But that's an example of the vibration has really taken a turn for the worse. Or on the other hand, walking into a room where it feels buzzing, like you're saying, you know, Will, like y'all working out, warming up, the buzz is hopping, it's high, and the energy is high. And you walk into that kind of room and you just want to start high-fiving everybody. And I don't know what's happening here, but I just want to be a part of it. Yeah. And you just know somehow, because of the energy around you, the emotion that's available. And you can actually, just by some kind words and some gentle thoughts and intentions, you can start changing those rooms that you've walked into that are like, ugh, but you really can make the difference 100%.
Yes,
Wow.
indeed.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
And
So
like picking up energy, the person that says, I used to pick up energy all the time as a child and young adult. Exactly. It just happens. And some people do feel it stronger than others. That's for sure.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that is for sure.
That is for
That
sure.
is for sure. So when somebody may be watching us live or catching us on the replay, and they hear we talking about energy and stuff like that. So the person may ask, what can I do? How do I get this energy that you guys are talking about, a good energy? How do I harness that?
Okay.
This question is to both of you.
All right. Tess, you want to go first?
First of all, I think the best way to start, if this is something that's totally new for you, is two things. Realize that failure is not a bad thing. But a lot of times people get stuck in, I just messed up or something just happened. Failure is not a bad thing. It's weird. Y'all were talking about, Lady K, moving forward, being in the flow, just keep it on going. First of all, just say, okay, that happened. And now I can learn something. And that's a recognition thing that you can do. But the second thing you can really do to start feeling different about the situation is just take a moment and be in gratitude for what's around you or what you have. And then you start realizing it's the I don't have to becomes the I get to. And that's a good start to being in gratitude and just being, you know what, today I get to do these things.
Right.
That's absolutely good. That's good, Tess.
That's beautiful.
Absolutely. Okay. That's a good question, Lady J.
Thank
The
you.
thing is, remember, I was putting my building blocks in place for the foundation. You're born with this energy within you, right? So most people have some form of religious belief or spiritual. And so no matter what you believe in, okay, you're born with an innate feeling that there's something about you or something that you have. So this energy is within you all the time. And as I mentioned, I already read 2 scriptures to you that shows you it's in the Bible, but I'm gonna give you a third one here before I get over to the spiritual aspect of something that Lady J mentioned, and I want to cover that a little bit. Okay, here we go. Find my place here. Okay, there we go. They will soar, which means fly, basically. Okay, on wings like eagles. Okay, it will run and not get weary.
I love that
They
scripture.
will absolutely. They will walk and not get
Not
tired.
faint.
Yeah.
Is what they're saying. That's Isaiah 4,
Mm-hmm.
40, 31, right? Now, here's the thing. If, as I mentioned, you carry yourself to where, as Lady J asked the question, well, how would you know that there's, how did you acquire this? It's within you already. You already have it. It's already there. And she mentioned something about, well, basically mindfulness, which I think she said. But that's to see possibilities. So you have to have an open mind where you see possibilities. No matter what your
Right.
environment is, you have to be able to see your vision outside of that. And once you can envision yourself outside of whatever the environment is, then all the other stuff will start to come into play. You'll start to feel that everything is possible for you. That's part of spiritual power, okay? Everybody has. It's mindfulness, actually. And the second aspect of this is wisdom. Now, wisdom, was
Mm-hmm.
renamed. She was called Sophia in the beginning, but then, man, of course, being threatened by women, renamed her to wisdom so he could hide her. Okay? In this world, you cannot hide a woman, okay? You can try, but you can't hide her. And so wisdom is something that everybody has. Now, how you apply that is something the Tess mentioned is application. You have to be willing to put it into action and apply it in some form of shape, Even if you're going to fail at it, at least try. That's what
Right.
you have to at least do is try, you know. And I'm gonna put this into a little story real quick too, since I mentioned about the wisdom. When I first had my injury, I had to have 3 surgeries to repair me, right? And so right after the doctor gave me some restrictions and so forth, and so I was driving my car one day and I had a flat, and so I pulled over and I'm on the freeway. I pull over and there's a construction crew right adjacent to me. Now I was still very weak from the surgery. It had been already like 3 weeks or so, but the recovery was going a lot slower than they said it was going to be. But I knew I had, and even though I had AAA insurance to call out and just wait for them to come and take the tire off and fix it, I wanted to do it myself to see if I could still do that, right? But I was kind of ahead of my time. So I did all the stuff that I need out, and I'm trying to take this tire off this car. And so it took me something that, by the standard before I had the injury, maybe 10 minutes at the most. It had been 30 minutes and I still hadn't got the tire off the car. So one of the guys from the construction thing came over to where I was. He said, hey, we've kind of been watching. You seem to be having trouble getting this tire off. Could we probably take it off for you and do it for you? And I explained to him what the reason I needed to do that myself and the reason I was trying to do it and why I couldn't, why I was struggling with it. So once he got the story of I was recovering from surgery, and I didn't have the strength, he said, okay, well, we'll give you a few more shots, man, but one of us is probably going to come over here and just ask you to let us take that if you don't get it off in a few minutes. So he walked away, and I did ended up, getting the votes to where I could get the tire off, and so I did that, but I didn't have to. But that's because I knew it was something that I thought I needed to do to sort of get myself back on my journey. I had to do that. Now it drained me from from doing it, but there are some times in your life that you will have a test given to you that you may not be ready for, that you may think you might need to do it just because hey, this is something I have to do. Do it anyway. Even if you fail at it, at least you've given it a shot.
Right.
Now, after that tire was changed, I never did do that again. I was recovering. And it took me almost 7 years to fully recover from the surgery that I had. So, it was hard coming back from it. But every day I was doing things to try to get myself back on track. And it just seemed like that's way down the road. I couldn't see the finish line. I'm somebody who worked out my entire life. So I'm used to running and, doing things. And I couldn't do that anymore. So it changed my whole life. But I tell people all the time that they already have what they need, and so if you just work with what you have already, as you like to say, Karen, and Joan uses this too, the toolbox. if you already have items in your box that could probably be what you need, use those until you don't have the right piece of tool that you need to finish the job with. But if you work with what you have, you'll get to where you want to go. I promise you. You will. You absolutely get there. Now, as we mentioned about this energy thing, and Tess covered some good bases on it there. Once you get the energy and tap into it, the world will belong to you. You'll feel like you can do anything. I mean, there's nothing that's going to be seemingly impossible for you. You'll go places, you'll speak to people, you'll actually put yourself on a pathway to know things that you think you don't know,
Sure.
that you actually have some ability to, and have little pieces of it. It's just in this world, all these everything is one, right? Everything is the same. It's just the terminology of it is flipped around. So sometimes when you're trying to understand something, it may not be in the everyday language that you use because they've replaced it to make it look like it's something. This is hidden knowledge, of course. It makes it look like it's something that it's not. But you already have this, and you already know this, and so you have to trust yourself sometimes that if you read something that, wait a minute, I already know this. It's just worded differently, and then you'll see
Right.
that the whole world is not as complicated as you thought it was. It just seemed like it is, but the world is not a complicated place. It's really pretty simple. And so once you understand, the only thing that's really not so simple is what we're talking about tonight. This energy, the energy aspect of it in the spiritual thing is that's a whole nother ball game that you're gonna spend your entire life experiencing and never really figure all of it out because it's so complex and so many different parts to it that you'll be putting pieces together and it'll still be changing to something other than, because you grow. And as you start to grow in it, you'll see that, wait a minute, I didn't know that was possible. A lot of the things that you think is impossible is possible. So,
I have a question for you. I know this is y'all's show, but I do have a question for you, Will.
Okay.
How did that feel to take help from those guys?
Right. Good question, Tess.
That's a very good question. Because I have been asked that a few times too. Okay, when the guy came over to ask me that, it made me feel a little inadequate, but at the same time, because I knew what I was before I had that injury, it kind of gave me a little bit, I have to do this, because I kind of had started to weaken and I was going to give up on it and say, okay, well, yeah, come on over. I just call AAA and I just have to wait till they get here. But when he came over and asked me, could he actually do that or what my problem was, yeah, that kind of touched me in a way that, because I'd never been put in that position before, because I was used to helping people regardless of what the situation was and, being able to just do things. I took life kind of for granted, I got to that point to where I had grown so much and had so much, excess that I had forgot. And so that was a reminder. And actually, something, since you bring this up, I'm going to tell this story. I'm going to share this. Well, after my surgery, they put me on this drug. And, since I'm not a drug taker, I don't even drink. It doesn't take, I can take a Tylenol and it'll put me to sleep. Okay. That's how clean my body is. So when they gave me this drug I had to take for pain, I was taking the milligrams that the doctor gave me, right? And so one morning I took it. I was taking 3 times a day, and I had to take. I just taken one, and I laid down because they usually knock me out, right? So as I'm waking up, I'm looking out my window, and I'm thinking it was hydrocodone, I think is what it was. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I know it makes you hallucinate. I saw this giant hand coming through my wall. Right? So that the hand, I could see the fingers coming through the wall, and I'm looking. I'm like, I don't really see that. That can't be real. And it made me sit up in the bed. So I sat up in the bed. And I'm looking around. I'm like, anybody? There's nobody in here but me. So nobody. I can't tell anybody. But the hand is coming through the wall. But yeah. It kind of took me back to where I had to go back and kind of check myself and realize that, okay, that means that there's something else that you need to be doing to get yourself back to where you need to go. So after that experience, I started to kind of get myself back in focus with meditating and seeing things for what life really was, okay? Because I was seeing things, but just like everybody else, you're busy and running around and so forth, and so you don't really pay attention, you know. So the little things that you thought were nothing actually were something, and that's what I was missing. I had missed out on all of that. So after I had that surgery, it put me back on that pathway. And then since my recovery was going so slow, it took me to where I could see things a lot. I was seeing more than what was I'd seen before, you know. So yeah, it changed the projection of my life because it put me on a pathway to where I ended up where I am now, right? Because I ended up having an awakening, a full awakening in 2018, and I think that that was like the prelude to going in that direction, but I wasn't quite ready at that time, so it didn't happen. If I didn't even know what it was at that time, you know, I was talking to people and having conversations with people and so forth, but it never dawned on me that I could experience something like that myself. You know, I thought that, okay, that I'm complete. You know, there's nothing else for me to be, you know, worried about here. But once I had the full experience, it changed everything about my life and showed me things that I thought that I was having glimpses of, but I was taking it as, okay, that didn't really happen. But see, now when I see an extraordinary event happen, I understand what's going on. Yeah, it's a lot different than what you know, people who usually don't share things like that or even experience it, you know, want to talk about. But let me share one more thing before I give the floor back over. One night I was answering a lot of emails, right? And so I had a particular person that I was going to send a really nasty email to, right? And I typed it up really good. I mean, it was juicy. And so just as I was about to hit the, yes, it was really juicy. They were going to get the full blunt. And so just as I was about to hit the send button, I heard a thump, right? So it caused my attention. So I looked around, and the room that I was in has a fireplace in it. And on top of this fireplace is a fruit bowl with plastic fruit in it, right? And as I looked around, I'm trying to figure out where this thump came from. I'm looking around the room. I'm like, everything seems to be still on the wall. What was that? And so I got up from where I was sitting at my desk, and I got up and started walking around the room looking for something on the floor. And when I got to the fireplace, I could see one of the fruit were on the brick on the floor part, right? And so I looked at the bowl, and I'm like, okay, this thing was in the center of this bowl. How did it get out of this bowl? So I took the bowl, set it down, and I looked at it real close, right? I'm looking at it in this bowl. I'm like, okay, how could this have possibly have happened? This thing looked like it had to have some help to get out of here. So I'm going through a whole phase here. I'm analyzing this, right? And so I set the bowl back up and I put the fruit back in the bowl, and it's set right in the center of it. So there's no way for it to come out of there, right? So at that point, now it hits me that, okay, something spiritual is happening here, and this is something energy-wise. So I asked the question. I said, okay, if something is in here in this room, I'm sharing something. This is energy that we're talking about, though. So I said out loud, I said, if there's something in this room with me, you can show yourself. I'm not afraid. You can show yourself. So I waited a few seconds and nothing appeared, right? I said, it's okay. I'm not going to freak out if you know, come to form in front of me. It's okay. I'll be all right. But it never showed itself to me. But when I walked back over, so finally I didn't say anything else. I just kind of put the bowl back in place and I walked back over, right? So now my message is still sitting there waiting on me to hit the send button. So I look at that message again and I pushed the delete button. I deleted it. And what I knew that what had happened was that message that I had typed up wasn't supposed to leave.
Right.
That message wasn't supposed to go. And whatever was in the room with me or whatever came that night to do that was telling me in its own way, do not send that message. And so I deleted that message. It didn't go forward. Now, people have strange things like that go on with them, and they never, pay any attention or try to figure out what's going on. But I knew at that moment that something had visited me and didn't want me to send that message for my own good. And so that message got deleted and it never went out. So I've experienced some things that energy related that, I had to kind of did that really happen? Now the thing with the hand, I think that was more of the drug that they had put me on, because my system was so clean that he just gave me too high of a dosage. And I asked for, when I went back to him, I asked him to reduce it, and I never saw anything like that again. So my dosage was just too high. But the thing about the fruit, that something was in the room with me that night that did that. And so it didn't scare me, but at the same time, I realized at that point I realized I had spirits around me that was kind of in relation to what I was doing. My life had always, that's why I always felt protected and never felt fearful in the situations, because I always felt like I had a protection, but I couldn't answer why I felt that way. I just knew that something was protecting me, though. So I never was afraid of any kind of situation, so I've had some things really take place. I'm gonna share this one thing that I said I was gonna just share that, but since we're on such a good road here, I'm gonna share one more with you guys. I went to on a gaming night with some friends of mine once, right? I think I was maybe about 20, 21 years old at the time. We went to play some pool. And so we were in this facility playing pool, and one of the guys that was there didn't like one of the guys that I was with. He thought he was eyeballing it. And so he felt challenged. So he walked over to where we were, and he asked what he was looking at him for. And my friend was asking him, hey, I just happened to look that way. I didn't mean nothing, man. But at this point, by the time he said that, the guy had pulled the gun out. And so he has his gun out, and I'm standing right kind of next to him. So I kind of stepped in front of him a little bit. And I asked the guy, hey, why are you doing this, man? And we don't have any problems. We don't want any issues with you. And so he asked me, he said, well, what, you want to take his place? And at this point, we have eye contact, right? He points the gun direct. Again, the gun is pointed right at me. It's a 9mm. And I didn't have any fear because we're looking at each other in the eye. He clicked this gun 3 times. Now, they're known to misfire, so I don't know if it was just misfire. It wasn't my time. But again, as I said, I've always felt like I've been protected, like something was with me. So as he pulls this trigger, he pulls it once. It clicks. He pulls it a second time. It clicks. He pulls it a third time, it clicks it out. Now, while he's pulling this trigger, in my mind, I'm still trying to figure out why he wants to kill me. So I'm mad. I'm angry because I don't feel like it's my time to go. So this guy's going to murder me for what? He's going to take my life for what reason? And so after he pulled it the third time, he puts the gun back down into his coat, and he turns and walks out of the facility. Now, I should have been dead because he pulled it 3 times. They're known, a 9mm is known to misfire 1 time, maybe. Okay. Yeah. But he pulled his trigger 3 times and it never fired. And so he put the gun away and he walked out the door. Now, once he got out the door, we went after him, but he was already gone because he was familiar with the area. I guess he lived somewhere close, but he was gone at that point. But, the thing about being in that position, I tell people this story sometimes, that as we were looking in each other's eyes, he could see that I didn't fear him. And at the same time, I was angry that he was willing to try to take my life over whatever reason he had, But again, this comes back to everything is a reflection, right? So as years passed, I've now, reconciled what that kind of was about to some degree. It was some reflection of me was in him. In that manner, okay. Now, at that point in time, at 2021, I think it was, I didn't, my direction still hadn't been kind of where I was going in life. It wasn't kind of, as a young man, I'm still trying to figure out where I'm going and what I'm doing, And so at that point, I didn't have my path kind of laid out for me at that point. I was still trying to figure it out, and so. The message that I got from that, it changed my life too, because I realized I got a second chance from that opportunity to keep going. And if I had been taken at that point, of course I wouldn't be here talking. I would have never met you ladies, and none of this would be happening. but yeah, it changes how you go in life. You get put in situations like that. You'll find out what you really are and who you are at that point. But my point to the story was again how some people like you all have alluded to, some people can feel the energy immediately and know kind of that have this protection with them, and other people, it may take them all the way up to the edge of their life or toward the end of their life before they figure out that all this time I've had somebody carry me, with me.
Right.
And so, yeah, but I've always felt protected though. That's why I've always felt safe in anything I do, because I've always felt like it's going to happen. So I just jump in and start walking, and usually it just kind of plays itself out. So I just wanted to share that though, since we were talking about the level of energy, and that hopefully that will encourage somebody else who may see this show and think that they can't do something, or maybe they feel like, well, everything is stacked against me. I'm telling you that you can actually make things happen. You just have to put one foot in front of the other, and no matter what, believe that you can actually do whatever it is you're setting out to do. Believe that you can do it, and it can happen. Okay.
So true.
That is very true.
So true. So true. So true.
Yeah.
Listening to both of you, the one thing that come to mind is our mindset, and we got to watch our words. Our words are so powerful, the things that we tell ourselves every day, every minute, we are looking for a different outcome, but the things that we are telling ourselves cannot match what we really want with our lives. And we got to understand that it's energy or words that we pronounce over situations, the words that we tell ourselves, the words that we tell our children, all of that is energy. We are putting it into creation. And we got to be super vigilant of the things that comes out from this. We got to be vigilant of those words, And another thing comes to mind, we got to listen. Many times we are asking for things in our lives, but we're not listening. We're not paying attention, Sometimes you find you may be asking, let's say, for a new job or a new house or a new car, whatever is situation of newness that you're looking for. Are you prepared energy-wise for what you're looking for? Are you prepared mentally? Are your thoughts matching what you're looking for with your life? Because many times we are saying, oh, we want a new job, right? But you have to be prepared for that job that you're asking for. And the transition period, because there will be a transition period for that job. The transition period is preparing you energy-wise for that job that you're going to be going to, that you say you want. So when you are in that transition period, that's a preparation time. That's where faith comes in. That's where you got to renew your mind. Your thoughts got to be intact for what you're asking for. So again, your words, your thoughts is super important, because if you don't match that up, you're going to get frustrated. You're going to say, this is happening for me. Why it can't happen for you? Because you're not matching what you want. You got to match that energy flow. Everything, as we're talking, everything is energy. And unless we come to that realization that everything is an energy, you got to match it. You got to match is the frequency. You got to match that frequency. And if you don't match that frequency, it can't happen. It just can't happen. Another thing that came to mind that was listening to both Will and Tess is that look at yourself. You had to be a baby. It's a process. For us to be here sitting now as adults, we had to go through different process. And the process that we had to go through, we couldn't see that energy in the visual eyes of that process of a baby going through that process. We just know that we are growing, but we're not seeing that energy happening, growing. We can't see it, but we can feel it. Look at a child. A child born, it goes through the womb, it comes out, it goes through different phases. To get up and walk, that child is going to fall down, that child is going to get up back. The determination to walk. You may cry, of course, yes. So sometimes we need to reflect back on those days. You know, we need to reflect back on those days. The energy it took us to go through those different periods of our lives to reach where we are at this point in time. It's not going to be easy. It's not a walk in the park, you know. For us to really know exactly the force, this life force, we got to go within ourselves so we can discover that life force. It's a life force, it's energy, you know. And the thing is, we all have it. That is why we are here. But because of the mindset and the paradigms that we are running on each and every day, things that was being projected on us that we are still living with, we limit ourselves, we limit the thoughts, and that is why we continue to go into that cycle over and over and over again. It's time that we pivot, look at our lives, and see exactly where we're heading. And if you don't like where that's heading, you got a choice. We all have that choice. And we can make decisions for our lives. Another thing too, we got to set these boundaries. We got to set these boundaries. When it comes to people, we got to know when to set these boundaries, because people could suck your energy. They suck your energy out from you. You ever see when some people call you how the way you feel on that phone call? And then when you come off that phone call, you're dreading it, you know? I don't like this person, and I don't know why this person is calling. You got a choice. You don't have to answer the phone. You know? You got that choice. You don't have to put yourself in that position. You don't need to. You got to protect your energy. Your energy is super important for you. You got to look at your life. You got to protect yourself. At all costs, you got to protect your energy. And if, as we all telling you this evening, if something does not serve you, it doesn't. Once something is not feeling right, it ain't right. Because your gut instinct always give you the signal in front. If you're among people and you're feeling right, you're feeling edgy, you're not your energy don't want that. Your energy want to be removed from that space. And you can remove yourself. You don't have to stay in that space. You can remove yourself, excuse yourself from that space. So again, do some introspection about your life and see exactly where it's heading. And if you gotta retrieve, just retrieve. You're allowed to do that. You allow good things to flow in your life. That is what you want, the good stuff. Not things that's gonna get you edgy. Right, John? Lady J?
That is why the art of revision is so important.
Yes.
The art of revision. Because when you have the art of revision, you can reflect, you can evaluate. And that is why also self-talk is so important.
Yes.
Because if we constantly speaking about scarcity and we constantly speaking about lack, and we don't see ourselves in a state of abundance, seeing ourselves in a state of upliftment, seeing ourselves in a state of greatness, seeing ourselves in a state of the greater things that you can aspire for and in the future and living from the end. If we can see ourselves and put those energy in those spaces that we always thinking we're talking about lack that we never have. We constantly say we never have, then that's what it's going to be. Because
Absolutely.
that's the energy that is attached to that.
Mm-hmm.
So today, let's look at the art of revision. How are we speaking to ourselves? How are we speaking to our situation? How are we speaking if we are trying to embark on our goal or a new job or whatever that may be? Your self talk is so important. What energy are you putting into that? What energy are you infusing in that so that the outcome can be good? Because whatever energy you infuse in that, that's what it's
Yes.
going to be. And then sometimes you say,
Absolutely.
well, how come this doesn't happen? What did you infuse into that space?
Mm-hmm.
What did you infuse into that space? So it's so essential that everything we do, we put the great energy forward, great vibration towards it. Don't think about it. And find yourself, get some good feelings. Go into the space of good feeling. Get excited. Get excited about living. What do you want your life to look like? What do you want your life to be? And start seeing, imagining those great things that you want yourself to be. Because sometimes where you are, that does not define you. But you gotta
Sure.
start aspiring for new things. Put some new energy in. And that is why it's so important for us to surround ourselves with the right kind of people who's gonna uplift us, embrace us, and draw us into something that is so beautiful that we can find a level of bliss. Tess?
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much for that jumping off point. There was two things that I'd love to add to this. If you're stuck in the complaining crowd, guess what you're going to start doing? If you show up to the coffee shop of complaining, guess what you're going to do? You're going to sit down with your latte and you're going to be like, yeah, blah, 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 because that's what everybody around you is doing.
Yes.
And you just start thinking, well, I guess that's what I'm supposed to be doing too, because everybody else around me is doing it.
Right.
So if you realize, oh my gosh, every time I get around these people, that's all we do is
Yes.
complain.
Yes.
Guess what? That's probably going to keep happening unless there's a couple of things that can happen. You say, y'all, I don't really want to do this complaining anymore.
Absolutely.
Or you just say, guys, listen, I don't want to talk about that. Can we talk about something else?
Right.
Sure.
Sometimes people don't honestly realize they're doing it.
Yes.
And they need that
True.
pattern interrupt to say, hey, y'all, I don't think I really want to talk about this anymore. And they're like, oh, okay, sorry. And talking about the self-talk, I mean, specifically, it's the idea of if you say to yourself, I'm so stupid, what did you just
Right.
say to yourself?
Absolutely.
What did you just say about yourself? I suck. I'm stupid. I'm no good. You have literally called yourself no good, lazy, stupid, whatever. That is just what you've told yourself. That's what you've told your brain. You've told your subconscious that. You've told yourself that. And every time you tell yourself that, let's go back to the bag with the rocks analogy. That rock gets put in your bag, and you're carrying that I suck around. I'm lazy. I'm no good. I'm whatever. And then it's okay to think, I'm feeling a little lazy. It's okay to say sometimes I act lazy.
Right.
Right.
That is not the same thing as saying I'm lazy.
I am. Yes.
If I tell somebody, if I say, man, that my neighbor is so stupid. Did you just call that neighbor stupid? You sure did. And do you have any other way to get out from saying that? No, because you've literally labeled your neighbor stupid. And your neighbor doesn't have a chance with you at this point, right?
Mhm.
You could say, sometimes my neighbor acts stupid.
Mhm.
And you say, yeah, well, they're doing that, acting stupid again. But you still have that window to have a relationship with that person or your family. Man, my family, they're jerks. You've labeled your family as jerks, and you have no way to come to them other than they are jerks. If you say, Sometimes my family acts like jerks.
Mhm.
That's a sometimes.
Mhm.
And you're giving them a possibility of we could do something and it's okay.
Yeah.
But it's a subtle language thing that happens. And if y'all could take that on of saying even to yourself, it's okay to kind of get a little angry at yourself. Sometimes you need to like, what are you doing? Wake up.
Yeah.
You say, you know what? Sometimes I act a little silly. Sometimes I act a little lazy. But that's not labeling yourself as that thing.
Yes.
And that's a great thing to really take on, is changing how you talk about yourself.
Yes. Mhm.
Change that way you talk about yourself, because you are not that thing you say. Say like, I'm pretty awesome. You know what? I managed to find 2 shoes that match today.
Mhm.
Whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I found my keys. Sometimes for me, finding my phone, that's a big deal because I don't know where I put it. But these things that we just start getting so down on ourselves that
Yes.
you are just putting dirt on top of you, and you are, next thing you know, you are just heavy, and it's so hard sometimes to get out of
Yes.
that.
Mhm.
When you keep putting this stuff in your space, it's tough, y'all. And we
Mhm.
all done it. There's no judging here. There's no wrong. It does happen. So sometimes you need that, ooh, I think I've been doing that. Or, ooh, I think I've been around a bunch of people that are complaining. And let's celebrate acknowledging our wins.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well,
Well,
thank you, Tess.
you ladies have covered a lot of territory tonight. I want to cover this a little bit too, because we're talking about the field, spiritual field, the force, the energy. Within that force, there are like 7 energies that all of us have one of these, or maybe a couple of them. But I'm going to name them because you ladies have mentioned this a few times tonight. But in that field, we have the healer, the creator, the lover, of course, and we have the explorer, the warrior, which all of us have a little bit of that in us, the artist, and the master of craft. Now, mastering a craft has to come from experience. But when we've talked about this before, Joan and Karen, to master something is just all it is just you doing it. Experience. That's it. It's like I said, the world is not that complicated. We and they, whoever they may be, okay, if people talk in that context, have tried to make it more complex than what it is. But everybody is a master of some craft. Everybody is. Now, they may not all understand how to put it in the context of where they can teach somebody else this craft or how to master it psychologically, but everybody has some degree of a mastery, okay? So that's part of the spiritual force that comes to you, where you all have access to this. And Lady J mentioned this at the point here that she asked, well, how do you go about getting that or realizing everybody has it? When you see the movie, the first Star Wars, where you see Yoda is a master of basically he's a version of Luke Skywalker from the inside, because he already has this mastery, but he don't think he has it. And every time he talks to him, he's telling him to believe and just know that he can do whatever it is he's trying to do, and it will happen for him. So he's coming from inside out on him. But see, a lot of people miss that. And so they keep looking outside of themselves for everything.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. That's true.
They already have what
That's
they
true.
need.
Yes.
A point of trying to get to that. Because the one thing we haven't mentioned tonight was the metaphysical part of energy. Now, metaphysical means that you're seeing more outside than inside, but actually it's flipped around, actually, where it comes from inside out, because everything is actually inside out. People look outside, but everything starts and actually starts from inside. So metaphysical energy comes from you, the brain itself, the brain itself sort of don't understand what's reality and what's not. So whatever you tell it, it believes that it's real. So it doesn't know that, a table is solid in a sense, right? But you believe that table is solid, so it is solid. So when you're talking about metaphysical energy, you're merging energy that you're tapping into the force to say, okay, I want to make a connection with somebody that's on the other side of the world. If they're on your frequency, you can tap into their energy source and actually meet them. They can feel you. And so a lot of people, now when you start talking about that, that's where you get into the mastery part of it, because you have to grow to get to that part and then trust that you have the ability to do that. So like I said at the beginning, there are a lot of things that people can do that they think they are not capable of doing. And so that's where they get lost, and then, they're like, well, I don't even want to know anything about it because that just seems like that's woo to me, and I can't get into that. It's not happening. But if they actually will give it a shot, they will be surprised.
Yes.
They will find out that a lot of things that they close themselves off to, they can do. And even in the Bible, Jesus tells you that if you speak it, you can and he used the word manifest. So if you speak it and believe it, and all three of you ladies have mentioned this, it's yours. You can have it. You can have it. Now you have to take the steps to complete it, but once you settle it into your mind that you can actually do this and you can have this, it will start to draw and come to you. So I know, saying it that way, you don't actually see it, but you're like, okay, well, how is that going to happen? Well, remember, Tess and myself and Lady J mentioned this at the top, that when you say something and you start moving in the direction of what you're speaking, you start meeting people.
Yes.
The people cross your pathway. So anything that you really desire, you can actually have, but it's going to require you to put some work in to get it. So it's not like rubbing a magic lamp and ladder and it just pops out like a genie and, hey, I'll make this outside right now. We can have it. It won't happen like that, but it will happen though. It will happen. So you the more people that you talk to that are around and are aware, which Lady J mentioned, once you become aware, then you know that everything is possible. You don't see anything as being not within your grasp and where you can actually get it. I was talking to a guy just the other day, and he was a sales rep, right? So he was telling me that, he may get laid off from his job, and, he's a good sales rep, and, he'd have to find something else to do. So he told me, he said, well, look, I paid $10,000 to learn what I know. I said, well, what are you going to do with that knowledge then? I said, well, what do you mean? I said, you don't see yourself, do you? He said, no, I just know that if they lay me off, then I'm going to figure out what I'm going to need to do. And I told him, I said, you have your job right. It's in your head right now. You just don't understand it. The same $10,000 you paid to learn what you know, apply that into a course and teach other people. I said, we're going through a transition phase in this economy. And so your skill set is going to be needed. Sure. So you can teach other people what you know. I said, everybody's not a salesperson. Everybody has a title of a salesperson, but very few can actually sell. That's a whole different gift to have. So you have a unique gift that all the other sales reps don't have. And so use that to generate your revenue. And so he thought about it for a few seconds. He said, well, I hadn't even thought about something like that. I said, dude, you have your future right in your hands, man. You don't need anybody else. You already have it. I tell you what, sit down, put your course together. And then once you feel comfortable that you can actually teach it, I said, can you teach it? I said, of course I can teach it. I said, well, okay, I'll put the course together and launch it. Where would I launch it at? So I gave him, some ideas of where to put it at. He said, okay, I'm gonna do that. When I'm ready, I'll come back and I'll let you know that I got it prepared. You take a look at it for me. I said, I won't even need to do that because you have what you need. You don't need somebody else's okay. So understand what I'm telling you. I was fit to meet you at this point in your life for this message to be transferred to you. And so you don't need me anymore after this. But if you feel like you absolutely need to talk to me, I will get some type of a signal saying, okay, you should talk to this guy again. But if I don't get some kind of message that suggests that I need to see you again or talk to you, this encounter, this is what we're supposed to be. This is our only encounter. I say, so you take this information and you do something with it. And then if you know, I told them how to get in touch with me. I said, now, once you get it off the ground and get it rolling, send me a message, let me know that you did it. That's all I need to know. And that way you can pass it on to other people. He said, it's done. We shook hands and we parted. You know? So a lot of times, go ahead, Tess.
No, I was gonna say, there's a book. I don't know if any of y'all have read it. It's called E Squared by Pam Grout. G-R-O. And it actually, it's some of the stuff you've been saying, Will, is it's like, okay, here's an example of this energy experience and how you can call in those things. And it's a fun book if anyone wants sort of a walkthrough of some of these ideas you're talking about. It's called E Squared.
There you go. There you go.
Thank you for sharing that, Tess. Yeah. Tess, talk to us quickly about your workshop. How does that go?
Well, the main workshop I have, it's called Draw Your Circle. And the idea here is that it starts off where you have a questionnaire and you learn about yourself by the amount of people you have in your inner circle and how, let's say, open you are to people coming in and out of your circle. Because we all have this judgment of, I should have this many friends, or I need more friends, or whatever. What if you realize you have what you need right there? So that's sort of the basis of my Draw Your Circle workshop. And then once you kind of understand yourself, you kind of stop projecting that on other people. So that's kind of step one. And the Draw Your Circle thing does go out to, like I was talking about, the communication styles. And when I plug that into the workplace, we talk about how your inner circle, work circle, actually will work better so that you do have the collaboration and the communication so that people are heard and that teams become stronger because everybody is included. And when you've got, like, if we're going to go with the circle analogy, if you've got a missing where it's not connected because some people think, I don't honestly know why I'm even at this meeting. Nobody ever listens to me. I could just go, get a coffee and nobody would ever, they're not ever going to call on me. My voice doesn't matter. If you've got too much of that, or if you've got any of that, your productivity morale is like this. So this is really what we want to tackle, let's say, is actually collaborating and communicating within groups. And I do also work on a kind of a workshop, I call it Fail Jail. And it's how we take, which I said a little bit earlier, is success comes out of failure. And how does that actually look? And between those two, that's very powerful. And I do love team building and the models of team building where you forming, storming, norming, performing, all those things where you really understand where is your team? How do you get to where you need to be? And the thing is there's nothing wrong. It's just identify what's happening and where you want to go. And that's really what I'm all about is making sure everyone is heard and everyone is included.
Wow. That's amazing. That's truly amazing.
Yeah.
My question to both of you before we wrap up, what role do you think innovation plays in helping us choose creation over stagnation?
Okay, that's a good question. That's a good question. Okay, you want me to go first, Tess?
Yeah, any one of you could take it away.
All right. Okay, well, innovation, okay? When you, let me get specific with this. The innovation aspect of where we are right now, we're going through, like I said earlier, this transition phase of where we're moving into a new era, right? So innovation should always be a part of your growth, because if it's not, you're going to get stagnated and caught in the past, and then the future kind of passes you by, and it's all happening so fast that you won't be able to catch up, or I won't say you won't be able to. It'll make it hard for you if you don't see it coming. So you have to sort of like my little discussion with the sales guy. He didn't see how his future could be, lined up. He was going to get stagnated on his past. Like, okay, they laid me off, and then what do I do with this skill set? But he already has what he needs. All he needs to do is innovate. So a lot of times people just get crossed up on how to go about doing that, though. But you already have a skill set that you can innovate some type of way to take forward. And so you have to figure out how can that fit into your life, how you live right now, how you can fit that in to where you're not stuck in your past. So I would just tell people basically to take a good look at where you are, what you've done, and then see how you can fit that into what's going on in the present time and move that toward what's going to be your future. Because all of that stuff is happening simultaneous. We talk about this all the time. Your past, present, and your future are all always happening together. It's not something that's spread out. It's all in one single swoop, And so you just have to be able to keep your eyes open to see it. And so if you look at it from that perspective, opportunity will always be there for you. So you won't get stagnated, because as Tess, I'm pretty sure, is going to cover for us here in a second. You can, if you don't have the right people around you, you can get stuck pretty quickly.
True.
And so you have to make sure you have a good support cast around you. Before I turn this over to Tess, she mentioned about the inner circle and then moving out. Remember, I did some data on this, and your inner circle is going to be 3 or 5 people. That's it. Now you move from that to the associate range. The associates are going to be 5 to 10 people. And then acquaintances are 50 to 150 people, right? And so once you break it down from what that data just said, then you kind of know where you can go, because you have people within those 3 groups that can help you get to where you want to go. They may not have, they won't have your vision or the plan for you to get there, but some of those people will have access to the things that you'll need, the tools that you'll need to get you where you're trying to go. And so that's what you got to, that's all you need. And if you can, envision yourself fitting in there some kind of way, then you won't get stagnated. You'll keep moving forward.
So true.
So that's it.
I think about innovation kind of
Thanks,
like, yeah, I think innovation is here.
Sure.
And kind of like Will, the guy that came over to help you with the tire,
right?
You also gave him the gift of letting him help you.
Yeah.
And there are people out in the world that will, regardless of what you're maybe bumping up against, that you're not sure what to do or how to do. I guarantee there's somebody out there that wants to help you if you will let them.
That's true.
And talking about what you're meant to do or your life path and everything, like if you ever watch a stream and you see this stick come and it gets stuck on a rock and you watch it and you're like, come on, little stick, you got this, come on, little stick. Eventually that stick is going to get unstuck. And that's what we're all doing right now, is we're getting unstuck, moving toward what you are supposed to be doing here. Right. And you can dig in and stay stuck on that rock a little longer, but eventually it's going to happen and you're going to be moving to where you really are supposed to be. And the quicker you can just let go and let that happen, you talk about vibration and everything, that's when the magic happens. Just letting go and just you're that little stick going down the stream. Just let it happen.
Wow.
That comes back to what one of the energies that I left off of the 7 that I gave was mystic energy, where it's balance, right? It's where the chaos and the order kind of blends itself, mixes itself together, and you come in and out of that. And that's all your journey is all the time, is chaos and order. So once you get into the flow of that, you can, when you go into the chaotic state, it won't send you where you go all off balance and like, I don't even know what I'm going to do. I have no idea what's going to happen. You won't think like that. You won't even speak that out of your mouth either, because you're going to come back in line at some point. It's going to realign itself and you'll be able to go forward. So yeah, all of that stuff comes together. So I really enjoyed this conversation. We've covered a lot of ground,
Yes.
and you know, we didn't have a woo conversation, so people are going to watch this. They're going to be able to see that energy is, it has a foundation to it. It's not something that's just made up and people are just, you know, using the word and there's nothing to back it up, because we didn't even go into the neuroscience of energy. So,
Right.
you
And
know,
the
it,
quantum of it, and that's very hard science, and
yeah,
that's another way of looking at it too.
yeah.
We got
You
to do
know,
part 2 then.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we kind of got into the metaphysical a little bit, but all this stuff is blended. You know, just like I just said, the mystic energy it's all blended, and so once you absolutely fully tap into it and you trust it and believe it, then the world, you'll see the world in a whole different light. You will.
Sure.
You'll understand that there are a lot of opportunities for you, a lot of them that you think
Yes.
that you're not capable of having. Like Tess is having a class coming up. You know, the ladies are getting ready for one that's coming up. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity. Just just move. You just have to
Right,
move.
right. Just
Yeah,
move. Have the open mindset and move.
exactly.
You know, listening to both Will and Tess, everything we see around us was an innovation.
Hmm.
It was a thought somebody had,
That's
and they
right.
bring it to life. Every single thing you see around you is an innovation,
Hmm.
you know. And if one person said, you know what, this is a stupid thought, I'm not going to do this, that thing would have never come to life,
Yeah.
you know. So we all have to look again within our lives and bring out that creativity that is laying there within ourselves. That is how come we can make things happen. Sometimes you're thinking to write a book, or you want to start a podcast, or whatever it is. Just get up and start it. It don't have to be perfect. Just get up and said, you know what, today is the day I'm going to start to do this. And as you go along, you're going to learn from your failures. You're going to learn from your mistakes, because that is how we learn, and that is how we grow, and that is how we make things happen. That is the only way. A lot of innovation you see, it didn't just start like that. It didn't start just like that.
Hmm.
That's the light switch that you put on every time. You know how many failures had to happen before that happened for us? That's a simple example. It's just one
Absolutely.
man had that thought, you know?
Hmm.
So
Good.
whatever you were thinking, it's never a stupid idea. It's never a
Right.
stupid idea. Birth it.
Somebody out there needs that idea. Somebody needs it.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Just birth it. Bring it to life. And you would be totally surprised how many people would show up for that idea.
Hmm.
Bring it to life. It's an energy waiting to come out. It's within you. Find it. Find it. You came here with it. Find it. It's right there. Look at what you're good at. There is something that you're good at. And as Tess said, don't tell yourself that you're stupid, because you're not. You're not
Yeah.
stupid. You're here for a reason. You're here for a purpose. Just go within yourself and you're going to find it. It's there. It's right there. Lady J, we got to do a part 2.
Of course. Tonight was such a great show, as we always do, but tonight is a different topic we discuss, which we talk about energy and highlight all those key points. And Tess and Will, we are so grateful that both of you grace us with your presence and enlighten us. Growth and expansion happen right there, because you have given us new insights, new perspectives, how we can look at life through different lens. how to spot energy, how to feel energy, and how we can evolve moving forward using our energy, watching how we speak to ourselves, manage ourselves, our inner dialogue, manage our inner dialogue, and look at the art of revision. Because as we can look at the art of the revision and realize where we are does not define us,
True.
our past does not define us. And if we're looking to move forward with a level of alignment, thinking abundance, letting go of scarcity, thinking about newness, our I ams, what are we focusing on? And all those things, there's so many takeaways tonight. But one thing's we're going to leave you, the audience, with: believe in yourself. Believe in yourself and have self awareness. Self awareness is so important. Mindfulness is so important. Practice gratitude is so important. Surround yourself with the right kind of people is so important. Who do you have in your inner circle that is going to help you to propel you forward so that you can reach to that level of goal, all your goals, and everything that you are inspiring to achieve? Think about that and remember, maintain the high vibration, because when you vibe in high, you are able to vibe with the right kind of people that would catapult you to the level of success that you desire.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you both. Thank you for all who are watching us live and those who are going to catch us in the replay. We love you and keep believing in yourself.
Yes.
Just about.
Very good, Tess. Very good.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys was really amazing
It's
this evening,
beautiful. Just beautiful.
and
Good energy.
yeah, I was just about to say that. The energy was so great. It was effortlessly,
Flow.
and that is when you look at this. This is what like-minded people, when they come together, that is what it looked like. So if you're saying to yourself, I don't know what kind of circle I'm looking for, you're looking for like-minded people. Because once you come together as like-minded people, the energy is gonna just flow. Effortlessly, it's gonna just be flowing. So find yourself the right circle to get into. Find yourself the right kind of people to surround yourself with. And as Lady J said, what you're listening to. It's not only the food that you're consuming, like broccoli, potatoes, or whatever. What type of food, spiritual food, are you feeding yourself? What modalities are you using every day to recharge yourself? Because many times we are not recharging ourselves. That is why we get burnt out and we get depleted. When you wake up in the morning, you need to recharge yourself. Before you go to sleep, you need to recharge yourself. You need to get rid of those energies that you take in during the day. You really need to get rid of those energies, because every day we are moving into different spaces, different energies. We're having conversations with people, So you really need to get rid of those energies before you go to sleep. Because some of those energies is not good for you. Trust me, it's really not good for you. For you to take it to bed with you, it's not good. It's not good. So you need to get rid of those energies before you go to sleep. And another thing, believe in yourself. Know that you're worthy enough to be here. You have a place in this world. You have a place in this world. You may be going through a rough patch at this point in time. Look within those rough patches and see what you can gather. It's a reason why you're going through those rough patches. Look and see what you can gather from those rough patches. Put it into your toolbox, because where you're going, the rough patches is preparing you for where you're going.
Right.
There's a reason why you're going through that period. It's to prepare you for where you're going. And again, your mindset is super important. Your mindset, the things that you're telling yourself on a daily basis is super important. Because if you're saying you want something and then you're not matching what you're saying, it can't happen. It cannot happen. It's a mixed match of energies. It's not going to happen. And then you're beating up on yourself. This thing is not happening for me. Why it is not happening? And you keep going around all the time. You keep going around in the same loop all the time because you're not matching what you say that you're looking for. Because whatever you project out, that is what is going to come back to you.
Right.
Whatever you're projecting out, that is exactly what you're attaching to yourself. So you have to watch your thoughts. You have to watch what you're saying. And you have to learn to listen. Because many times things are being said to us and we're not paying attention. Like Will was sharing that story about that man.
Mm-hmm.
Because people show up in our lives many times to give us a message.
Yeah.
But we're not paying attention to the message what the person is saying to us because we're living in our heads. And we're not paying attention to what the person is saying to us. So we got to be open and we got to learn to listen. So just know that there's goodness and there's greatness within you. And you could overcome whatever you're going through at this point in time. We all sit here. We all went through stuff. We all went through stuff. It's not a walk in the park.
No.
But we are here to encourage you. We are here to uplift you and let you know that you can come out. Trust me, you can come out. With the right mindset, you can get out. So start to look at things with a different lens. Change your lens. Change your lens. Tonight, change that lens that you wear. If things are not going your way, you got to change your lens. And write the way how you're feeling. Writing is very, very powerful. Write the way how you're feeling. Just write it out. The way how you feel, write it. Grab yourself a coach. If you cannot do it on your own, grab yourself a coach.
Definitely.
That can help you on your transformational journey. Because when you get yourself a coach, it's a commitment you're making to yourself. It's a commitment. So just do that. And just know we are here for you. Connect with Will, connect with Tess, because we are here for you. We created a space here for you. So you can come here every Sunday and be filled. You can come here and take away something that you can work with for yourself or for your family. Because this journey, we are not walking alone. We all are here to help each other. No matter how you look at it, we're all here to help each other. It just depends on what lens you're wearing. So it's time. Change your lens or clean your lens. Either. Because if you're driving, you can't drive with a foggy windscreen. You got to clean it up so you can see where you're going. So tonight, just clean it up. Whatever liquid you're going to use, make sure you use a good liquid as well to clean it up. You know. You're good. Believe in yourself. You're great. And you guys, to the audience, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you here. And don't forget to subscribe to Soul, Light, and Body, that you will never miss none of these episodes. And again, 246 Bajan Vibes have a classified ads in the notes. Just go check it out, and you can see what nice goods and services they have to offer. Thank you guys once again, Will and Tess, for being in this space. Love you guys. Bye-bye. Have a great week. See you next Sunday. Bye-bye.